Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I just want to do a little update on my plants, on my house plants. I did a houseplant tour probably a couple months ago, and I just want to showcase like what's going on with the plants and how they're looking and coming along right now. So I'll start with the ones that are on display by my window. If you look outside, I do have a balcony. It looks more like a forest right now because I need to do some pruning and also just kind of collect what's done for the summer and fall and winter things. My mint is what you see growing out of control. That's just regular sweet mint and apple mint. It's a very windy day, as you can see. That plastic bag is trash that was blown onto my balcony earlier today, so I need to handle that. Um, so here, the house plants here, I'll go back through them. We have this is a bicolor, goodness, a bicolor magnata. I never pronounced it. Marginata, sorry. Marginata bicolor. And it's called that because, as you can see, it's green and it's also got some red in it, which I love. And that's why I bought it. It's supposed to look like that. It looks kind of like a weedish looking thing, but that's what it's supposed to look like. Next are my two succulents here in the skulls. They are pretty chill because they don't require much water. As you can see from the little sign, they only require indirect sunlight, a fourth of an inch of water a month, and then room temperature for their growth. So they don't require too much effort. Very low maintenance. This is one of my Petra plants. So it, as you can see, has the one ginormous leaf, and then it has all these nice new growth leaves going on. And when I purchased this plant, it was in what I call plant rehab. So it was like a last chance clearance plant at Lowe's. So it had big petals on it when I purchased it, but most of them have fallen off, and with the exception of the one that's hanging on. And it's regrown. So it kind of gave itself a rebirth, and it's doing, I would say it's doing well, because as you can see, there's a few new leaves forming there, and the lighter green are the newer leaves, and then the darker green leaves, they are there. So whatever I'm doing it right. That plant is considered a bit more of a high maintenance plant. It can be a bit temperamental, especially when it comes to adjusting to temperature changes. In the summer when I got it, I used to keep it outside or rotate it between inside and outdoors, and I think the instability between the two temperatures may have impacted it. So I, basically repotted it and then just kept it inside for now, and it seems to be doing very well. I also have grow lights up here that come on. They're on a timer. They are red and blue lights, and they're just clipped to the edge of the plant stand, and you can set the timer. You can set them to come on every like 3, 6, or 9 hours, or stay on for that long. So I have it set. I think they stay on for 3 hours at a time in the evening, and they come on. So I think that has also contributed to the growth of some of the plants. The last plant here is one of my favorites, and it's a purple waffle plant. So even though it looks a little crinkly and stuff, that's how it's supposed to look, hence the name purple waffle. And you can see the purple coloring on the backside of many of the leaves, and my favorite color is purple. So that's kind of why I was attracted to that plant. It was also a rehab plant. I've repotted all of those, these 3 big ones. They've been repotted, so they are, adjusting pretty well. I purchased it with like this hole that was there when I purchased it, and any damaged leaves that you see, that's how I bought the plant. So I can probably go through and prune it, but so far it's been growing and doing pretty well. I need to water it. The soil's a little dry. These plants are usually pretty good, like once a week waterings work for them. The main thing is just to check the soil and just keep it moist, not soaking wet, not sitting in water, just keep it moist. And on the bottom row here, I finally replanted my corn plant. And again, it was another rehab plant that I purchased from Lowe's. So those brown spots you see are actually how I bought it. One thing I did learn about this plant is that those brown spots can be representative of the type of water you use. So it's a little bougie because it needs like filtered or bottled water, because some of the chemicals that can be in traditional tap water can be damaging to the plant. And so it will cause those brown spots to occur. So I need to do a little more pruning. I did clip some of the ones that just had it on the tips, but I need to go back and maybe shape up a few more. But so far, it seems to be doing pretty well. I recently repotted it into this vase. I'm sure over time it will need to be repotted again because they do grow rather tall. But it's just an interesting plant. Also a rehab plant. We have my aloes here. Those actually came from Walmart, as well as the pots that they're sitting in. And this last little barely hanging on situation is another Petra plant like the one that's up top, except for it didn't do too well when I replanted it. But so I think I might just, let it go. It's possible to save, I'm sure, but I paid $3 for each of those because they were like what I call rescue plants, last chance plants, LOs. So I'm honestly just not going to go through the hassle of trying to regrow a $3 plant, which is part of why I bought it, because I felt like knowing they were temperamental, knowing they could go either way, I don't feel bad. And in fact, I had one survivor that's thriving, clearly. I think I'll just let this one go. And hey, that means I can buy another plant. And it looks like the stem is also brown, so it may have some life left, but it's just, to me, not worth it when I can just, get a new plant. So I'll probably let that one go, and the next time I do an update, you'll probably see something new in that spot. So 1 out of 2 ain't bad, especially for a first time with that plant and not really knowing what to do with it at first, and kind of making sure I got everything right. All right, so on to my other, this is one of my favorite babies right here. It is a Chinese evergreen. There are different varieties of this plant. Mine, of course, has the red in it, which is what attracted me to it. The leaves are gorgeous. I don't even think the camera gives the level of beauty that they have. I really, really love this plant. The stand that it's sitting in is from Home Goods, and it's actually in its original pot. They don't have to be repotted often, like maybe 2 to 3 years. So again, this is one of those, if you are wanting to get into house plants, just closing my blinds here since my balcony faces other apartment buildings. If you wanted to get into houseplants and maybe you are not someone who is very attentive, or even if you just don't know where to start and you don't want something that's going to require too much time and effort, this is a very low maintenance plant. I bought it at a pretty decent size. It has grown a lot since I've had it, and you can tell, I don't know if it shows up well on the camera, but the smaller, lighter green leaves, those are new growth, and there's tons of them. Like, I was actually just looking at it the other day and I was like, wow. Which is good because that means that I'm doing something right. So basically this whole little section is like new leaves, new growth. And the bigger, fuller leaves like this, they're the OGs. They've been there. So the plant is doing very well. And it is like one of my favorites. And I love the red that you see running through like the veins. That is why I selected it. This plant can also just be all green, or it could be like a lighter green to just a deep, dark, solid green. So they have different variations. I want to say the technical name is like Aglomia. I'm not 100% sure, something similar. But like I said, Chinese evergreen is also the same name for it. So you can Google it that way if you're just curious. This was also purchased at Lowe's. I did tell the story last time. When I purchased it, it had been overwatered because these plants don't require much water at all. And by not much, I mean like when you water it, 1 cup of water every maybe week or 2. I just kind of watched the plant, and if the leaves look like they're starting to droop, or I test the soil. You can always just put your finger in there, and it's not so much the top layer, but if you kind of put your finger down in there and it feels dry down in there, then it needs a little water. But even when it needs water, like I said, 1 cup of water every week or so. And as it's turning from, fall to winter, their growth time is slowing down, so they become even less needy. And that's for all the plants. Other plant that was on here, this is my snake plant. I think, I'm not 100% sure if I had just repotted it when I did the last video, but this is also, the pot came from Lowe's and the plant itself came from Walmart. I think it was like 15 bucks at Walmart. This is another plant that is a pretty much hard to kill plant. So if you, again, are someone who is not known to have a green thumb, or if you're just starting out and you're not sure where your skills lie on that, a snake plant is another recommendation. So the Chinese evergreen I was just showing you, as well as a snake plant, also very highly recommended for newbies, or people who are just generally not good in the garden or plant area. I have had this plant since the summer, so probably like July, maybe August, and I haven't watered it yet. That's just how minimal effort it requires. I don't think I even watered it when I repotted it, because I did mix the soil. Again, I talked about keeping the little gnats away that can sometimes form in the soil. There are a few ways to do it. I choose to use diatomaceous earth, which is why you see that white kind of powdery stuff in there that is part of it. It looks like white powder or flour, and it helps to kill any gnat eggs that may be in there, and also prevent gnats from hanging out, the ones that are alive. So it gets rid of the gnats. And I pretty much do that for all the plants that I've repotted. I mix in indoor potting soil. I use Miracle-Gro, and then I mix in the DE with it to contain the gnat situation, or to prevent the gnat situation. So I think I have these two. This one I know was here when I did the last video, but this is a new baby, so I know it was not featured. This is my golden pothos. It is also probably my that and my Chinese evergreen. They're like my faves, and they're so cute. Like this, it's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to have, that's why it's hence the name golden pothos. Again, it's one of those plants that come in a variety of types and colors. So you can get one that's just green, or darker green, lighter green. But this golden, hence the name. That's why you see those golden specks. So there's nothing wrong with the plant. That's just what it's supposed to look like. So it's coming through, and it's so pretty. Like, I love it. This plant is a cousin, I guess you could say, of the golden pothos. They're in the same family, and it is called a Brazil with the S, so a Brazil, but it is from Brazil. And the plants are supposed to be like, they grow like they run down or they hang down. So there's nothing wrong with the plant. It's not drooping because it's needs water or anything. They grow that way. They grow down. And it's the same with the golden pothos. Like, that's why the leaves are kind of floppy. Now you can train them to grow up instead of like running, because all they do is just like grow and they run. And so you can train them by putting a post or a stick in there and let it grow in that direction. But for right now, since they're so small, they're fine the way they are, at least, especially the golden pothos. It doesn't even look like it's heading down. This one seems to be already starting to do its thing, running or wanting to head towards down. But this has the light and the dark contrast in the colors, so that's why I like the leaves. And again, I'm a person who likes color or some kind of difference. Like, I don't just want plain green or solid color, so I like the fact that this plant has, the two-tone green leaves. And again, this one, both of these plants, pretty low maintenance. Just water when the soil feels dry, and they don't require a lot of light. As you can see there, this is where they are, and then here's my window. So they're nowhere near the sun, really. They probably get a little sunlight, but they're not. And I'm actually gonna move this one into my room. The Brazil is going in my room. I just wanted to give it time to sit, let the DE do its work, keep the gnats out, because I don't want to bring gnats into my room. So I haven't seen any, so I think it's pretty safe. But I'm redoing my room, and once I get everything set up in there, that plant will have a home in there, which is why they're kind of sharing this bookshelf space right now. So that is my plant collection, just the update. And I'm going to be, so maybe I'll probably be shopping for a new plant to replace that other Pectra that didn't quite make it, the Croton, Pectra Croton. I know I kept saying Pectra. That's the name for these because they're smaller. But it's a Croton plant. And they're known for having colorful leaves. They can be yellow, red, and you can see some of the color coming through in the bigger leaf. And that's part of why I purchased it, because I like the colors. But yeah, so that is my plant tour update. You can see my new plant. You saw my new plant, my Brazil. And like I said, I may go to Lowe's and check out a couple more plants. One to replace that space down there and just see how it goes. My vases also, most of them came from either Amazon or Lowe's. I have everything linked in, with the exception of the Walmart ones. I think everything else is linked on my last house tour, which I'll put at the end of this video, and probably link it down below so you can see that one. It's a little bit longer, but I do explain a little bit more about the care for the plants and just the types of plants and all of that. But I just want to give an update to show how things are going. Hopefully it will inspire you if you've been thinking about getting a house plant, or you just like house plants, or even if you have questions about growing them. Hopefully this will help you out in the tips about keeping the gnats away. Also, make sure that you use indoor soil versus just standard soil that you would use in a garden, because it is formulated differently and it is created to try and reduce the occurrence of gnats. So all of those things will work in your favor to help you reduce or eliminate gnat issues. All right, thanks for watching Late Nights, Early Mornings. Please subscribe and follow me on my social medias that are also linked below.